Good morning, no matter where you're tuning in from. My name is Kimberly. I'm a Pilates instructor and also professional dancer based out of Los Angeles, California. I'm like curled up here in my in my blanket. It's rather chilly here this morning in LA.
Don't even talk about chili. I don't
I
even know
know,
what the
right?
temperature is
I
here.
shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Oh, I'm like sitting on my hands as we have our conversation, but it's all good. It's all warm here with
Yes,
all that
it's
stuff.
warm in the conversation. That's the most important part.
Yes. Nice. So your show too, congratulations. So you finished your season? Is that what everyone's been celebrating?
Yeah, thank you so much. I touched base on that last time we talked. So, for those of you just tuning in, I had the opportunity to film the second season of it's called Sherman Showcase, and we just finished filming on Friday. So, yes, I took the weekend and slept quite a bit. It's a rather active show.
Yes, that is awesome.
Thank you.
So as I was listening to our conversation, just to give people some background, and you could obviously do better, way better than I can, but I just heard some pieces in it that I want to just talk about. Um, so coming out of university, you landed a job with the Knicks as a dancer
Hmm.
right out the gate. And I was joking about last time how that's like going to a university team or like getting a contract with an NFL team or something, and then they win a Super Bowl in their first year. Like you don't have to even understand the struggle. You just walk into a great gig.
Yes, yes. So I thought your story, well, which was amazing, the one you just preferenced this whole conversation with, I thought that was amazing. I was happy to hear about more of your background.
Mm-hmm.
But very similar, that kind of identity crisis you get when you're starting out and you identify with something and something big happens and then that goes away and you're like, well, who am I? What am I going to do next? So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So to give a little information on that, like Martin said, I was very blessed to have the opportunity right out of college to dance with the Knicks for 5 years, which was an amazing experience. I grew so much going from Maryland to New York and just experiencing the big city and all it had to offer in dancing. But you're absolutely right. After that 5 years, which was amazing, it was time to kind of move on to the next thing. I got married and the next part of life needed to start. And then I wound up back in Southern Maryland going, what? What am I going to do next with my life? So I knew I wanted to
Yes.
keep dancing, but that was such a huge part of my life.
Mhm.
That I kind of didn't really know what the next step was. So, and we can go further down that path now, or we can.
To yeah. Well, and the reason why is because and it's funny. Like a lot of people in this chat, this is a weird kind of context for it, but one of the gentlemen that I've had on the show a few times, who's become a friend over the past couple of years, he does the teacher training, and when people walk in who are professional dancers who figure they could just do this Pilates thing next, like he's quick to shut that down. Like you have to be a passionate teacher, curious, all those different things. You can't just be bendy and walk in here and think you can get a Pilates job.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm actually so happy I found Pilates later, a little later in life in my career. So, I mean, my dance career, my professional dance career started at 21. If I would have found Pilates at 21, that would have been my attitude. So
Yes.
I'm actually very fortunate that it came much, much later in life because, yeah, that mentality as a dancer, especially with Pilates, because you see it and it I mean, parts of it are taken from dance. So it transitions from dance so well and it
Seamlessly.
works
Yeah,
so well
absolutely.
for dancers. But in
Yes.
the dancer's mind, they're like, oh, I can do that. Or, oh, this is easy. Or they're just not understanding the foundations of it. So it's actually, I tell this to all my dancers. I'm like, it's hardest to teach dancers sometimes because they come in with preconceived notions
Yeah.
and things, and you just, yeah, you have to shut it down pretty quick. But
Right.
as 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 a Pilates instructor that kind of knows what I want to achieve in my classes, I'm able to do that in a way that's encouraging though. I'm not just like,
Yes.
no, no, no. You know, like
I'll show you. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I come at it from a very logical, very like technical point of view, which,
Mhm.
you know, you can't really argue with facts. I love that type of a thing. It makes
Yes.
it not personal. It makes it just, it is
Yes.
what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back to the identity piece. So you're back in Maryland, and we're here. We're no longer that for, hey, aren't you a dancer? Didn't I see you at the game last night? Like type thing, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I moved back to Maryland, and it's funny because I would say my biggest network of community I built in college, which is interesting because once I graduated college, my friends from there, we all kind of just were super close, but we kind of dispersed.
Yeah.
So I kind of moved back home, but home was maybe almost a little foreign to me too. Like I kind of kept
Yes.
to myself growing up a lot. So I didn't quite get that type of reaction because I wasn't super enthralled, I guess, in my community growing up. So it was an interesting thing that I just kind of came back, was now with my husband, who is not from Southern Maryland. He's from more Baltimore County, which is a little more north in the city. And yeah, I was in this space where I know I want to keep dancing. What does that look like in Southern Maryland, where there's maybe not as many opportunities as there are
Right.
in New York? So, but it's so funny though. I had this conversation with someone just a few weeks ago. I took an intensive, and there was a girl talking, and it was a really cool intensive. I'll name drop. Her name is Galen Hooks. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She does dance intensives, but it's beyond dance. It's like a life experience. If you want to look her up, her name is Galen Hooks. I can even type that in the chat.
Yeah,
But
please.
she works on all different levels. She works with professionals, people that are interested with dance, people that have nothing to do with dance, but they just want to explore movement. So I actually took this workshop a few weeks ago, and there was a girl talking, and she was saying she actually is a dancer, but she like didn't, she kind of hit that ceiling. She didn't know which way she wanted to go in life. And I think she was in her early 30s, maybe late 20s. I couldn't tell her age. And it was a Q&A portion of the session, but I kind of jumped in. Like it was literally, you know, when you just have to get something out.
Yeah, it's like bubbling up in you.
It was just like, ugh. And I was like, I don't want this to come out sounding crazy. And it was a Q&A, so this isn't talk about Kimberly Hour. But I raised my hand and I just had to say it. And I was just like, you know, your dance career, your life is not linear. Like, do not let that hold you back. Do not let your age hold you back. I was like, I'll be 37 this year, which in the grander scheme of things is not old by any means. I don't think that. However, in the professional dance world, any athlete, you're starting to come of that age where you start having to make very big life decisions, and your body is starting to feel it a lot more, and your brain's going, can I keep doing this? So this ties into what I was about to just say, but I told her, I was like, you know, I'm going on 37 and I'm re-picking up my professional dance career after a few years, but I never stopped dancing. So I was like, don't let that hold you back. Don't let the fear of can I do this or I'm getting older hold you back, because now tying back into moving to Southern Maryland, I was 25 when I got married. I was 26 going on 27 when I moved back to Southern Maryland. And even then I thought, oh, I'm like, like too old.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's like so crazy looking at that because it's so young.
Right.
But the drive was there, and that's really all that matters. If you keep the drive there, you'll find a way. And I did. So I danced at a local amusement park, and I mentioned that last time. I saw the advertisement for it, and I just did it. And I did it for a season, and it kept me dancing. It kept me in that headspace. Was it with the Knicks? No, which is fine. Was it on that level? No, but it made me happy. You know?
Is it consistent with who you are is a question, right? Like, my transition from social work to fitness was, okay, like my rationale in my head was, well, I have my degree in social work. So if this fitness thing doesn't work out, I can always fall back on it. But at the same time, in doing it, I was very intentional. And people were like, well, how did you leave social work? And was that hard? I said, well, no, I'm helping people but in a physical way instead of in an emotional way.
Yeah.
So as long as I was able to wrap my head around the fact that I'm still helping people, I can do this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, what you just nailed it. It's the intention behind it. So,
Yes.
will I be doing maybe this particular job forever? The answer in my head was always no.
Mhm.
But the intention behind it is that I'm still able, like, I love entertaining people too. That's part of why I love being a dancer. I love the
Yes.
entertainment value. I like people making people smile.
Right.
I connected with that from a young age, the performance value of it. So
Right.
I was able to do that in that job. So it wasn't the job, it was the fact that I was able to keep that passion going and connect with
Yes.
that and then let that carry on to the next thing, which it did.
Mhm.
So I look back on that time and I'm like, I had some not crazy jobs, but just like the things I found, it's just
Right. So was there always that thread of making people smile through every gig that you've had?
yeah, to be honest. And even when I was competing, so I grew up in a dance studio, like a
Okay.
competition dance studio. That's where I started my dancing. And don't get me wrong, I love to compete. If I was not a dancer, I would be like a professional, like soccer
J-
player or something. Like
Yeah.
my
Something
drive to
fierce.
compete
Yeah. Yeah.
is like there. But I think what allowed me to, because I also did gymnastics when I was younger, and I competed with gymnastics, and ultimately I dropped gymnastics and continued with dancing.
Mhm.
And looking back on that, I always think I always went the dance route because it allowed me to express myself more and have
Yes.
that entertainment part, whereas gymnastics was obviously a lot more about the technical merit
Competition.
and
Yes. Yeah.
a little less of the expressive part.
I
So
hear
which what now is actually becoming a little different, which is amazing to see. But back in like 1990, it wasn't quite like that.
you.
So
Right.
but yeah, I think I connect with that from a very young age. Like I remember winning maybe some special awards for like best like kind of like entertainment value or
Yes. Gotcha.
like the
Yeah.
judges awards, like things like that.
For
So
sure.
I would always be able to maybe connect with a judge or even like someone
Mhm.
in the audience. Like I always enjoyed that part of it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just you're so self-aware in that because I mean that's the sort of thing that we spend so much time trying to distill down, right? Whether it's like me with helping people or encouraging people, or
Hmm.
you with just entertainment or making people smile. Like there's a thread that we all need to kind of look and just try and identify in what we do.
Yeah.
Because like even in our last conversation, like we talked about like dream job, right? Like the next is a dream job, and now this show is like a dream job. But the
Yeah.
reality is that, like, is there really a dream job, or is there just a continuing self exploration and a culmination of the things that we do,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
right?
Oh my gosh. You put that so, so, so well because you have moments in time. So that make it the dream job.
Yes.
But if it's not aligning with kind of who you are, because I've had jobs that I enjoy, but there may be that maybe others would consider the dream job,
Yes.
but I don't. So,
Right.
and especially in the dance world, that's very easy to happen because it can be something that is huge and everyone's seeing, but maybe I
Right.
didn't connect with it. So I
Right. Right.
wouldn't
Right.
consider that a dream job. I'll be honest with you. Anything in the dance world at this point is more or
At
less a
this
dream
point,
job coming out of
yes.
COVID because I'm happy to be working. But
Yeah, for real.
I connect with that so much because it I think each job is a moment in time. But you're absolutely
Yes.
right. It's the path of it that kind of makes it the full dream.
Yeah. Well,
And the job
absolutely.
is just that kind of pinpoint in time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the job is like an expression of who we are at this moment in time if we're true to what, chasing after those pursuits, right? Like we can
Yes.
take a job because the money's good, but then we hate our life while we're doing data entry, then that's your job. Like no offense, but that's not my calling, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I agree with that. I think that let me get my words together. I think we all have to kind of go through that path to find what the dream is. So if you
Yes.
don't kind of explore if you don't explore what's handed to you, sometimes you kind of don't know.
Yes.
So I think it's all part of making that dream come true. So like
Mm,
it's kind of like with the amusement park job.
right.
What was that, living the dream? No, but it was that pinpoint in time that kept me going to the next thing. So
Yes. Yeah.
I and money, it's funny because I think similar to you, money doesn't drive me either. So of
No,
course I want to make a living off of
for
this.
sure. Yeah.
However, I if that was the only thing that I wanted to achieve out of this, it would not be able to continue because, as you probably know, you have jobs that bring in great money and you have jobs that are kind of like, I'm doing this because I love it. And that's what's going to get
Yes.
me to the next thing. And if you can't do that, it's going to be a rough road, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like one summer when I was in university, I had this job where it was like I use a data entry example because of my own personal experience where
Mhm.
before like computers were like really savvy and scanning and stuff like that, we would get this stack of papers like literally like this tall, and they were like multiple choice that people penciled in, and I had to go A space B space B space and just get as much as you can done today and come back tomorrow and do the exact same thing. The pay was fantastic. I lived downtown and I had to drive west every day, so I didn't have to face traffic. You know what I mean? Like everything about the job was absolutely perfect, made good money, and I was looking at the time at 11:47 every single day, realizing I still had 4 hours to go.
Oh, that's the
And
word. Yeah.
right, like so, it's like nah.
Your soul is just slowly
I
just
just
dying.
slipping away,
Yeah.
completely slipping away. It's so bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I tell this to my husband all the time. I'm like, I am my work. I'm that type of a
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing the things I love, I'm not me. And
Yes.
then no one wants to be around me when
That's the
I'm not
part.
me.
Right. Can you get like some hearts or something for Rob in the chat there? That's like, yeah,
Yeah, he can definitely attest to that. Like, and I went
yeah.
through that when I came back from New York. You
Hmm.
know, it was that identity crisis. And although I was finding jobs, I still had to go, what am I doing with my life though? You know, like
Yes.
I am getting older. I want a family. I want to be able to support. So it's so interesting
Hmm.
because on the artistic side of things and in your 20s, it's very easy to see that picture because you're
Yes.
just thinking about yourself.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people
It's
do
like,
stay
go on.
single in my
Yeah,
industry
for sure.
because you have to put yourself first. Seriously, you do. Not in like a selfish way, but just in a build your craft and talent and be able to explore your own
Yeah.
life and what that means to you. It's very difficult to do that when you are not having, when you are caring about someone else the way that I care for my husband. So I see it now, especially living out in like near Hollywood.
Hmm.
It's a lot of my friends here are single, and I really respect that
Yeah.
because it takes a lot of self discipline to be able to do that, and also want the relationship, but going, you have to give everything you have in your life to your craft. It's
Yes.
such a balance. I it's funny, on while filming Sherman's, we had lunch table talk, and this conversation I think came up almost daily.
For
And
sure.
everyone talking about the
Absolutely.
dating apps and what the dating world is like right now,
And the work-life balance and yeah,
and that work life balance. And
yeah.
I'm listening to those conversations, and they're tough conversations because I think that if I wouldn't have met my husband when I did,
Yes.
I would be in the same conversation because my brain is
Hmm.
built like that. I love what I do. It is who I am. And
Yes.
I would have been able to steer down that path and just, that tunnel vision of like, this is what I want.
Right. But there's something about just being, and like in my relationship too, there's something about being on a parallel track with the person where it's not like I'm going this way, and now you have to jump on my track because we're going this way. It's like, oh, Alex and I always talk about that. Like, we happen to be going in the same direction, so that's kind of how it continued, because
Yes.
we're going that same path. So we can continue going this way as long as we're going in the same train tracks, sort of thing, right? So I didn't,
Absolutely.
yeah, I didn't have to lose myself to be able to follow her path, nor her to be aligned. So that's fortunate, especially in that world, right? So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. And that's a tricky part. So, when you get married at 25, you don't know if you're going to be in my soul. And I was so happy. I would think that, but I also didn't know where I wanted my life to go either when I
right,
did get married. So it was
yeah,
kind of taking that leap of faith. I think
mm-hmm.
everybody has their different viewpoints and, their relationships. I will say I never like to say I'm fortunate, and I said that last time. I
Yes,
don't like to say I'm fortunate for my relationship, but I will say that while I was cruising and finding my path and my lane, so was my husband.
yes,
And
yeah,
it was a give and take. It was, I'm going to try to figure out what I'm doing here while his career is growing. And then we're
right,
going to try to make some moves where I can flourish.
yes,
It really was a give and take. The biggest thing was when he landed a job in Los Angeles. He had literally just got his dream job, I'd say. He'd been
yeah,
working there 3 months in Washington,
mm-hmm.
D.C. And then he got a LinkedIn message, which is crazy, and he got recruited to come work out in Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
And we had to make a pretty quick decision. And it was the most life-changing and the hardest decision in our entire lives. We were putting in an offer for a house, planning our future. He had just gotten
Mm-hmm.
his dream job. I was doing things that I liked. I don't know if my life was fulfilled, but I was doing things that I
Yes,
liked.
yeah,
And we literally sat down and made a list. And it boiled down to, do we want to keep doing the things that we know make us
mm-hmm.
happy and we know what life is going to be like? Or are we going to take the chance?
Yeah, yeah. It's and but that's that sacrifice, right? In terms of, and also I guess over the span of your relationship too, where this is a season where I'm gonna just give up on a few things for the sake of us, and then this is a season where you are, right? So
Yeah. And
yeah,
yeah, uh, yes. Yes, it's almost like I'm trying to like find the words for this. It was almost like, I don't want to say giving up on things, but definitely just putting some things in the back of the brain going,
right.
this is not over, but I value my relationship. And that was a hard transition for me.
Yes.
My brain didn't want to go there, but my heart was there. I valued
Hmm.
my relationship just as much as I valued my passion, which was very scary for me because I had
Yes.
never felt that until I met him. But it's also the thing that kept me going,
Yes. I
you know?
gotcha. Yeah.
Um, it's very
Mm.
scary when you're a person that like is so driven and like, I will not give up for anything, and like, I'm a
Yeah.
woman and I'm gonna do this, on
Oh,
my
here it
own,
comes, right? I love to
and
know
that's
just in
my
the chat
personality.
too. Yeah, show of hands in the chat if that's you, like that resonates with you, because like I hear you on that, right? Like, and did you feel like there's a sense of losing yourself in that? Like, or was that being true to yourself at that moment?
It's like a yes and a no type of answer, because yes, but was that who I wanted to be? And I had to like, did
Right.
I want to be that person, or did I want to let this relationship end and make that priority too? And everyone has to decide that for themselves. And I don't think that's linear either.
Yes.
But it's just a thought process. And it's not something that happened like this. It didn't
Hmm.
happen overnight. But it was like
Right.
each time maybe we would argue, or each time I thought I was losing a piece of myself and maybe projecting that onto him,
Yes.
I was able in my mind, this is the fascinating part to me. And when I look back on that time period of life, every single time I was able to come back and go, I want to be here. My commitment to my husband and to my marriage and to our relationship, I actually want to be doing this. And that would calm me down. You clear my
Yes,
brain out. It just put
for
things into
sure.
perspective.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's a very balanced perspective. And the way that I've kind of crafted that for myself is like, we're both fighting for the same thing. I'm not fighting against you right now. We
Yes.
are fighting for this thing, but we're looking at it from different angles.
Yes. 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 Exactly. You nailed that right on the head. Because it was never like, I want to take something away from you. It was, we want to do this together. How do we make that
Yes.
happen?
How do we make that happen?
How do
Yeah.
we do that in the space right now, in this kind of space? And it was
Yes.
always going, we will get there. In my head, it was always like, this is what I want to be doing. We'll figure it out. Even in
Yes.
the darkest moments. And I think with any marriage or relationship,
Mhm.
I think that's maybe a piece of advice I could give to people that are watching right now. I
There you
mean,
go.
you
Public service announcement.
yeah, my
Yeah.
PSA for the day.
Yes.
Coming in the deepest, darkest place, because we've had at it. I mean, a lot of people, I think when we talk to them, they're like shocked that we argue because we are generally happy together.
Well, yeah, you mentioned when we argued before, I was like, I'm glad that you said that because people get this perception that everything is like perfect. And like obviously our
Yeah,
whole social media world does that, right? So,
yeah.
but anyway, sorry, go back to what you're saying.
No, I was gonna say like no, we do argue and we've been through it and but every argument has like a purpose. Like I'm a very logistical arguer. I don't want you just agreeing with me. Like I'm like the lawyer. I always tell like Robbie, I'm like, I should have been a lawyer because like I want the point of views. Like I love different points of views. Like I almost want you to like prove me wrong so that I can like counter you. Like I want to get everything out on the table, but in the deepest, darkest part of whatever, like seriously, like I don't even want to look at you right now. Like I don't want to talk to you for a week because we've been
Yeah.
there. Even
Yes.
in that, it's like I sit with myself and I go, I find that spark. I find that little piece of me that goes, but I want to be here. I will fight for that because I
Yes.
know that I want to be doing this, just not like right now. Maybe I don't want to be doing this.
At this second, but
At
yes.
this second, maybe I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
But there's always that piece that I'm able to come back to, even if it's like a memory or a moment, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But there's always a piece that I come back to that can calm me down and go, all right, let's build from there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Very
it's
fun.
not easy to do. I may be
No.
making that sound a little easy. It's not easy to do, but it's
Hey,
worth
now
it.
we're done. Like, yeah, totally understand
Yeah.
that. One of the things that we said last time too was talking about asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah, we did
And
talk about that.
yes, does that tie into this whole conversation as well?
Yes, it
Or no?
does, because I think when you're in those moments, you don't want to involve anybody else.
Hmm.
You know, other people have their own issues going on. You always feel like you're like isolated, I think.
Yes.
And I don't like asking for help. That's never been when I was like had one penny in my bank account when I was living in New York City and like 4 steps from like living on the street, like I still like did not it would be like everything in me to like reach in and be like, Mom, can you put like $20 in my account? Shout out to my mom. I think she's actually on this conversation.
Is
Rosie.
she?
So hi mom. Thank you for everything.
Yes. Gotta give her some love.
Thank you for the love and the money.
Yeah. Funny.
But yeah, like and not even reaching out to help from different people, like reaching out to the person that you don't even want the help from in the moment, which might be your partner. So, and more of a help in a way of like, help me understand, like
Yes.
help me get on the same page as you. And it's interesting you bring that up because I think that's actually maybe one of the hardest things to do is
Mhm.
take a beat and ask someone for help,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
um help us get to a place where we can, kind of get back on track, but just help
For
me
sure.
understand.
Well, yeah, and it seems like we're having this like high level relationship type interpersonal relationship conversation, and like I've been throwing these topics out all month with like Valentine's Day and like Black History Month and like all these different things that really these intersections of what we do, because it translates back to our professional work, right? Like, I mean, whether it's in our space, our plies, our business, of what we're doing, like if we can't figure out in our personal lives and professional lives, we're totally going to struggle.
Yes.
Because that pride gets in the way.
Yeah, and pride is, I think, like probably one of the number one killers of any relationship, to be honest, in your work life, in your professional life, in your personal life. It's so easy to have your standpoint and stand by it and like
Yep.
and and not let other kind of opinions and things kind of allow you to think about things from a different angle. And pride, and I am a pride, and that's kind of how I was in my 20s. That's circling back around to, I'm very thankful that I found Pilates later in life.
Yes.
Because I pride myself on being, you know, a dancer and trained, and having another type of training come in to make, not counter that, but
Yes.
suggest that I don't know everything. And I've always grown up in a mindset of I have to know everything before it even starts, which is looking about like back on that mindset is totally nuts. But I think I've always been put in positions where I've been a leader. I kind of
Yes.
naturally fall into those roles. So I'm automatically going, I need to know everything before it even starts.
Yes.
And pride comes along with that. And
Absolutely.
I've been able to knock down some of those walls a lot lately. And to be honest with you, it's the most freeing feeling. I feel like I had hit my ceiling not too long ago. Like how do I grow from here? And I think by knocking down those walls, it's just like literally expanded. The pride has come down. Just like, I mean, I'm proud of the things that I do, but it's just been able to make me do more. Like I've just been able to like do more in life, you know?
Well, doesn't it like, and that kind of ties into our conversation around identity at the beginning, around like who we are, who we like that thread piece.
Yes.
Right? Because then we understand that piece of who we are and what that common thread is, then you don't have to wait till you have like perfect understanding of all the nuts and bolts of what you're doing before you do that next thing. It's like, is this aligned with me? Let's go. We can figure the rest out after.
Yes. And oh my gosh, I'm that person though. It's taken me a long time again to wiggle out of that mindset, and it's hard to do. But no, you don't need to know all the pieces before you do something.
Right.
I will say that if you're going to be teaching other people and instilling things on other people, you might want to have it together just a little bit, because
just
you know,
just
they're
enough.
trusting.
Just slightly more than them, at least, right? Like,
yeah, you might want a little bit, but yeah, I used to always be the person that was like, I need X, Y, and Z in order before I can go out and it's also like a shield, right? Like you don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to seem like you're wrong. So if you can accept that you are going to make some mistakes maybe, and it's not going to be perfect, if you can just get over that kind of hump,
for sure,
really just the stress kind of falls away from it, and you just go, okay, it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, I that once again, like our whole like marriage talk is a lot easier said than done, especially when you come from a context where it needs to be perfect, it needs to be on time, it needs to be executed in this certain way, and then to go into this, where it's like, this could be wrong, this might not work in your body, this might hurt you, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or do we build a relationship with the person to a point where we can explore movement, make our mistakes, and continue to move forward with those mistakes?
Yeah, and I think that transitions over to Pilates as well, because like I said, when I teach, I teach in a like a logistical way, in a body type of way that, and I think I told you I'm newer to the Pilates world too. I just got my certification back at the end of October. But what I'm learning is building the foundation. Obviously, you have to have some foundation.
Yep.
But then you get to get a little messy once you build your foundation. And I love that part of like, I'm in that phase now with Pilates that I feel comfortable with my foundation. And my
Yes.
students like it too, that I'm able to start breaking some of those rules and boundaries and
Yes.
moving the body a little bit different in a way that I know I'm not going to hurt somebody,
Yes.
but we can start
Got to slide
playing.
that part in. Yes.
Yeah, like, because that's important. You don't want to hurt
Yeah.
anybody,
No.
but you got to know your audience. But I feel comfortable in a way of like throwing something out, maybe even in the moment. I feel it in the
Yes.
moment, but then also feeling comfortable enough to go, ha, that didn't work. And like I laugh at
Yeah.
myself, and so does basically everybody else in the class. We're like,
Yes.
we're gonna move on.
Well, let's pretend that part of the class didn't happen, and we'll just keep
And
moving forward.
typically, you know, I
Yeah.
structure it out. I'm not just throwing a bunch of random moves in there, but I've gotten to a place where my body will just feel something in the class, and I'm like, let's do this, and then I'm like, let's not do that.
You totally remind me of my friend Kelsey, who was one of my first Pilates instructors, who was like this total like free spirit dancer, like really technically sound,
Mm-hmm.
but just super creative and just silly at the same time. So like she can give you a good hard technical workout, but it was like what you just said there was like, let's go here instead. And you're just like, let's make a sharp left right now.
Yeah, let's
And
do
it's
it
fun.
and see what happens. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's great, sometimes it's not.
not so great. Yeah. It's funny. Are you doing a lot of like online or in person? Like what's the balance of your work right now?
So yeah, I mean, basically, I've been teaching virtually. I teach two classes online a week that are my own, and then
Mm-hmm.
I teach for a corporate company on their platform online as well. And then I teach, so those are mat classes,
Yep.
and then I teach one-on-one classes, private sessions on the equipment at it's like a chiropractic.
Oh, perfect.
Um, situation where they have other modalities. Like I'm like, what is the
Is
word
it
I'm looking
the
for?
word? Yes,
Practice. That's what I'm looking for. They
that's
have
the word.
acupuncture and Pilates. They're a husband
Yeah.
and wife team, and they brought me on. So I teach one-on-one sessions for them.
Oh, cool.
So it's a good balance. I like that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Can we
teaching
talk?
math. I think I told you I love teaching math classes. I
Yeah, yeah.
love mat work. But I love working one-on-one with people too. So it's a
Well,
nice
yeah,
balance.
that's it. Sorry, too. And like, there sounds like it was a great opportunity in that clinic. Are there other Plies people in that clinic?
Yeah, so it started out as a chiropractic clinic, and then
Okay.
they're a husband and wife team. The wife
Yep.
teaches Pilates,
Cool.
so she got basically a little studio across like the way from him.
Yes.
So they work hand in hand. I mean, they're geniuses. I mean, he has a chiropractic, and
Yep.
and then the clients kind of see both of them.
Yeah.
They're and it's a good energy to work with. They're both great people. So yeah, and she's built pretty quick. I think she has like 5 or 6 instructors. I've kind of been
Wow.
floating because of my schedule.
Right.
So maybe I'll have a little bit more of a like one day a week. I'll teach like 4 clients, like permanent schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've grown quite a bit, and she's grown. So it's a great environment to be in. I mean, I was seeing the husband for chiropractic, which is how I met her. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think that like just kind of shifting gears to like the business side for a few minutes, like
yeah,
that kind of micro business model, I think is the way that a lot of studios need to go nowadays as well. Like gone are the days of like the gold star of having like your storefront, 15 reformers on like Main Street USA or Main Street Canada, because like what would you do in a pandemic? Like you have to change your ratios and then change your rent and like all these things happen. So in that micro business example, then you see how like someone like you can fly in, do a couple people, and like you can have space for subcontractors and you can do all
yes.
these things, but not be like on the hook for a massive, massive overhead.
I mean, I'm here for this for so many reasons, but I guess my top 2 reasons are from a logistical and business standpoint. Yes, you don't have this overhead. You're not dealing with the stress of like a huge studio and yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
brick and mortar. And I think that's really important right now
Yep.
because we are still in flux. So from a business aspect. And let me tag this, by the way, if there's any other Pilates instructors out there, there is excuse me, I just got done teaching. My voice is a little hoarse, but there is a platform. It's called Arquetta. I should type this in the chat or I'll the comments. It's called Arquetta. If you've used Mind Body, which most of you probably have, it's basically like Mind Body, but for the individual person.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
So have you heard of Arquetta, Martin?
I think so, yeah.
I've been using them for about a year and a half now. It's very affordable in the grandest scheme of things. I believe they have a yearly plan. It's like $25 a month, and then they take like 0.03% of your overall. But it allows for you to build out like an on-demand library of your own. So for your classes, you have a place to put them, so you can monetize off of that. If you have a workshop, you can add it into the workshop category. So all your clients are listed. They've gotten so much bigger. They're bigger, but their customer service is amazing. So tying that into this, it's allowed me to build my business and not be having people Venmo me and sending Zoom links. And it takes care of all of that for you. It's all automated like that. So if you're looking for that, you can look up Arquetta. It's great. My second reason why I think even more important we're going this route is that it allows you, like, say I was visiting, you're Toronto, correct? Yes, I just want to make sure I got the right part of Canada. So say I was visiting Toronto and you wanted to have a guest teacher. You could, it just opens up the space to just communicate more, like it's not like a corporate 15 reformers, we all have to be doing the same thing. It's more, I'm going on vacation, but maybe she's coming in and she can be a guest teacher for 2 days.
So are all the instructors in that space on that then? Or is that you just doing your own thing within that space?
You do your own thing within that space. So when I come in and teach, I come in and teach how I teach. There's no set, like the clients know who I am and how I teach. And I'm Kimberly, the teacher, not Kimberly, I work underneath of an umbrella. Which
that's great.
Again, and it also exposes you to different ways of doing Pilates, I think that's been a very big topic of conversation.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to all be doing it exactly the same way. Yeah, you need a foundation, but and coming from a dance background, when you are trained a certain way, this is kind of how you're trained. And I grew up with that mindset. And I think that's such a toxic and limiting mindset. I think that I encourage people, and I've gotten better at doing this. I like posting different Pilates teachers and yoga and different types of movement and things like that. Like, take from different people. I love that you love my class. Don't get me wrong. I love that you love showing up for me. But try something else too, because you might love that too.
That's what my wife says all the time. Like, shop your instructors, right? Like, first, like, it's so funny. Like, we have our lines. Like, she's always says, like, shop your instructors. Like, understand, like, there's different instructors and someone's going to be for you. And me, from the personal training world, I always say, like, personal training is personal. Like, I'm not offended if someone decides that someone else is a better fit for that person, because I want to see them continue to move and just feel good in their body. So if I'm not the person to do that, if I'm not the best that's going to make that happen, then find the one that's going to work for you. So absolutely.
And I totally agree with that. And I think that once you become an instructor that's very proud maybe and comfortable with what you're giving out to the world, I think when you know your space and you know what you can offer, it allows you to be more comfortable with doing that as well. Because again, I think offended is the word. I'm not offended if someone doesn't particularly take to how I teach or what I teach.
You don't take it personally.
I don't take it personally because I love the feedback. Don't get me wrong. If there's something else you'd like to see, or I love getting people's feedback. How can I grow as a teacher? But if this isn't for you, that's great. Let's find what works for you. If that's
Yeah.
not me, that's fine too. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
gather
I
that.
don't know if, I don't think everyone thinks like that.
No, yeah, they don't. The
Yeah.
point blank, they don't. I mean, and
Yeah.
people say that they do. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
everyone says that they're fine with that until they realize they're losing revenue, and then
Yeah.
it's real talk,
And
right?
I think that ties into you have to love what you're doing. And it can't just be about the money. I think that
Right.
circles that back around.
Yes, I think we just tied a nice bow on that, actually.
I think that was beautiful. It was full
Yes.
circle.
Yeah, it's like 58 already. Like, and your people are still here. That's crazy how fast that went.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, hold on. Before we jump off this conversation, I wrote down
Yes.
a note because I wanted to talk about this for a second.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, for Super Bowl, you were saying Team J Lo or Team Bruno Mars, and I wanted
Oh,
so badly to
oh
jump in on
yes.
that conversation.
You just chopping the bit to just like it's like angry email time, or do you have your like
I was about to teach, and I was like, I just quickly wrote Team Bruno Mars. I mean, I love J Lo. Don't get me wrong, I love her.
nice?
But quick anecdote: I was able to be on the field at that Super Bowl, literally in front of Bruno Mars when he was
No
performing.
way.
Like, I have a fantastic picture of me screaming, and I wish I would have like brought
Can
a
you find
screenshot.
it? Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't have it with me right now. But I was fortunate enough to get tied into a girl that I knew from a past dance career. And
Yes.
yeah, she asked me to jump on board. So like literally he's like banging his drums and I'm like screaming like a fangirl in the front row. So it's like when
That's
I tell
insane.
you, he's like, from what I gathered of this, because we got to watch him practice, to
Yes.
see him in his element and how hard he practiced when nobody
Yes.
was there, and to see him just like stand around and like literally to see someone of his caliber to sit there and like take it in, like watching a toddler like see the world for the first time, was like
Yes.
it's burned in my brain forever. And I respected
Yes.
him so much in that moment because not only was he just so appreciative of the moment, he worked so hard, and that performance was so good. And I got to
It
experience it
was.
literally like standing in front of him. So I just had to like put that out there because he's brilliant. It was great to watch him in person. So like I had to say Team Bruno Mars all the way.
Thank you. You're like you are that much cooler to me now for saying that. Like my like I had this guy come on one time who's a Mississauga guy who's like a personal trainer, and I'm an old school hip hop guy, like
Mm.
big time. And he said that when Big Daddy Kane was in town doing a concert, he had talked with him a few times, and then so he came in and actually trained at his studio. So like I was like fanboying on my friend who
Very cool.
knows, you know what I'm saying? Like so like now you're talking about Bruno Mars that level. I'm like, okay, that's like legit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, I will say it was a magical moment. And I mean, just hearing that live,
I
it was
can
literally being
imagine.
a concert, a concert. It was
Yeah,
a concert, but
it
like
was like
live in
a
the front
big
row
yeah.
at the Super Bowl. I don't know. I have no words for that experience. Just check. But I had to share that because you brought
Thank
it up.
you.
And when you
Yeah,
said Bruno Mars, I was like, I have to share the story because
you had my back. You totally had my
I
back.
did
Thank you.
100%.
Thank
100%.
you. I mean, not hating on J Lo. I mean, that was great too. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But there's just
Oh
I
yeah,
could just repeat your whole
absolutely, yeah.
conversation right there. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this has
yeah.
nothing to do with it. It really isn't one versus the other. It's more
No,
like, yeah,
yes.
that's it.
That's all.
That's it.
Amazing. So we need to get a workout in sometime. Let's uh, let's coordinate doing that. I'd love to support you as well. Um,
Oh, absolutely, and vice versa. Yeah, it's so funny. I like literally like 2 days ago, I was telling my husband, I was like, you really need to sign up and take class with Martin. Like, let's take a class successfully with another male instructor. He's never taken Pilates with a male instructor. And
well,
I was
that's
like,
just it. Yeah.
I highly, and he's very interested. We just both been busy, but we were literally
All right.
just talking about this the other day. So we need to make all the things happen for sure.
Let's make. Yeah. If is Robert still there in the chat? Give us a thumbs up if you're down to do that.
Might be. I know he's watching our dog right now downstairs to make sure he doesn't jump on the camera. So, or he could have
Too
fallen
funny.
back to sleep.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. It's early there. Yes. Thank you
It
so much
is
for
pretty
jumping on
early
early.
here. And our dog
Um,
Ollie wakes up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to go out. Oh yeah, there he is. I'm down.
there he is. Now, it's so funny. Like my niche, like in this whole Pilates world, like my niche is working with men. I work with everybody, but that's the thing I'm most passionate about. So I found that my niche within the niche is working with the men of Pilates instructors. Like I've gotten so many guys. They're just like I don't work with like they're married to a Pilates instructor and they've never done Pilates before, or they've done Pilates with their spouse and it just didn't work out. And it's just like, well, do you want to try this guy? Like, you
Hold
know,
on,
sort of
I
thing.
love
But,
that's great. Hold on,
yeah,
that is so great. I love that.
it's so funny. Like it just becomes a thing, right? Like, I mean, because like maybe
It's
familiarity breeds contempt. Like,
it's
what is it?
true because I will say it took him a while to want to do Pilates with me, but now he actually does enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's still like we're husband and wife. There's still that dynamic. So I think it's it would be very good and refreshing, and he can agree. I'm sure he is nodding his head and agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's work with somebody else. I think that he would. I think he would
Yeah.
enjoy that. Hold on, that's so funny that you say that. Yeah, I think in my head I was maybe unique to that situation, and absolutely not. Like I never thought about it outside of myself. So
Right. Well, there you go. Like, yep, yeah,
I will
yep,
be sending him
yes.
your way. I will be encouraging, and I know he's excited
Yeah,
to take class with
he's
you.
down. He's down. So it's not like he's
Yeah,
being voluntold right now. Like we're good. Like it's all good.
it's all good. It's all good energy. It's all positive vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes when I teach in the mornings, he'll go downstairs on my reformer, and he doesn't even watch. He just listens, and he'll just do the class with me. So
Nice.
he's ready to go, but I 100% agree. Getting him not only into a male class but into your class, I think
Let's
will be
get
good.
it. That'll be
Yeah,
good. Nice.
we'll make it happen.
All right, my friend. So thanks again for round two. It was a super fun chat.
Thank you. Yeah, this is always a good time. It's easy conversation.
So easy conversation. Like, yeah, just join whenever.
Yeah,
Just
it's
jump
fun.
in. Yes. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us as well. Jamzone.hub. Is that one of your people? It's Coach Robin Renee's here, but I see jamzone.hub.
No, I don't. But hey, I
Hey,
don't
hi.
recognize the name. But hey,
And others are here. It's Tammy Plata Lab Buffalo. So cool. Thank you all for joining us as always. It's so fun.
yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right,
We'll
Kimberly.
have to
I'll
do a
send you.
part 3 at some point.
Oh yeah, totally. Down. Yes. Yeah. We'll make it happen. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, you too. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.